Welcome to the Multihyphenate, your campus for creatives, entrepreneurs, and anyone living outside the box. If you're learning to navigate business, art, and magic, consider this your creativity MBA. I'm Margaret, your favorite housemate, and a multi-hyphenate fairy who built a six-figure career ignoring literally every single rule. As your favorite roommate, expect to hang out for late-night talks about what I'm learning one-on-one, head to workshops with me to learn tools, probably get dragged to some house parties, and meet some of my favorite entrepreneur friends to hear their stories of redefining success. Welcome home. All right, Cassidy Ceresa. That's my really bad Italian accent. Welcome to the Multi-Hyphenate. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yay. Cassidy is a holistic health and business coach, a content creator, and someone who teaches women how to live their biggest lives is kind of how I interpret you. In 2020, you won a Ripple Award from Oprah. Really badass. And you were a founding coach on the Weight Watchers digital platform. You've spoken to tens of thousands of people across the world and just made waves everywhere. I met you through Lighthouse, which we are sitting in right now. You have just been one of these people who, as soon as whenever I sit and just talk with you, I feel like lit up and sparkly and amazing, and it's a joy. So I would love to kick off with just a little bit about you and your background and you kind of diving into how you ended up where you are now.
Girl. Okay. I'm from a small town in Illinois, and I actually wanted to be a high school teacher. Like, that's all I really wanted in life, was to teach English, because I had a lot of high school teachers. Like, there's probably 4 to 5 that I can think of that I felt truly saw me. They believed in my gifts. They made me feel like I was actually the most creative person they'd ever met. I really wanted to be that for teenagers, for high schoolers, to help them believe in their potential, but also be a resource. So I went to college to become an English teacher, and I did not.
English teacher to content creator pipeline, you know?
I did become a teacher. I am a teacher in a totally different way. So I went to the University of Iowa to study English and journalism. And then when I moved back to Illinois, where I'm from, I couldn't get a job. So I, on a whim, moved to Colorado and sold everything. I had been there once. I went to a Red Rock show in college to see OAR, and I will never forget, like, the hippies bopping on the rocks. I was like, I am home. So I moved to Colorado, and I couldn't get a teaching job there either. And I ended up switching to startups, and I loved it. I realize now I was an entrepreneur then, but like, it was like a corporate structure. So it wasn't as like what we're doing now, but I still was using the same skills that I'm using now when I was building and scaling startups. Worked in startups for about 7 years, and I worked in like so many different capacities. I was in charge of lunch every single day, of building out office space because we were scaling the company. I ended up getting so sick and tired of the entitlement in the tech industry, of getting emails asking where the almond milk is for my coffee. But at the time, I was so interested in the relationship that people have with their work and what makes a person get up and want to come to this place and want to do the work that we do here. It wasn't necessarily company specific. It was just more about like human potential, what humans are driven by. So I left the physical tech space world and I worked at a remote company that was in over 70 countries, because then I could say, like, screw San Francisco and, like, you know, the almond milk of it all. What do people really want out of work, and at a global scale? So I oversaw onboarding, I oversaw learning and development, and I was a 1 of 2 person HR team.
Damn. You're an international.
Dude, it was crazy.
Damn.
It was crazy. Like, this girl, she was my ride or die. So when I decided that I didn't want to do onboarding anymore, and I saw a need for employee wellness and like a focus on employee wellness, I figured out a way to continue on the process without me, without losing the like high touch, being the person that meets everybody on their first day.
Yeah.
I say I built it with popsicle sticks and glue because I did. At the time, there were no Slack automations. There was nothing like AI, anything like that, which is crazy because it was only like not even 10 years ago, which is wild.
This is so interesting because it's like self-taught, scaled, like mass learning kind of,
Yes.
and like onboarding.
Well, I was like noticing these patterns. So I had the privilege of meeting every single person that joined the company. So I automated all the stuff that like I didn't have to do. And then I continued to meet with everyone. But since I continued to meet with everyone, I was looking at the numbers and I noticed that we were losing people. While we're bringing people in, 40, 50 people, we're also losing 40 to 50 people a month because they're burnt out. So I started thinking about like the employee life cycle and how can we make them actually want to stay, going back to like what makes a person want to work here. And I pitched a job to the CEO. I was like, I need to focus on employee engagement and wellness. This is like good business. And I presented the data in a language that he could understand. And he was like, yeah, it's yours.
So dope. Speaking of the entrepreneur like trait early on. Yeah.
I've pitched like a couple of jobs for myself.
I kind of have to. I have huge respect. Love that.
So I did that, but then I was burnt out. So like I was actually burnt out the whole time. Yeah. No, there's so much irony in the story. And the time that I was burnt out and it really hit me was when COVID happened. So it was like I was already at my max and then the world ended and I just like truly could not deal. So I quit my job with no plan. But you mentioned the Oprah Award. I won the Oprah Award in March of 2020. I quit my job by June because I won this award. So for something completely different that had nothing to do with this career that I was building. I had been channeling all of my personality and fun. And actually the reason I have exclamation points on my arm is because I was told that I would never be taken seriously at my tech company if I continued to use exclamation points.
I love it.
I was like, I am an exclamation point.
We all need exclamation points on our arms.
Yeah. I truly was like channeling all my personality and creativity and just like everything that didn't fit in the corporate job that I was building into my page, Cassidy Eats. So at that time, I'm trying to figure out like balance. I'm trying to figure out life in my 20s, how to eat, how to take care of myself, because all I had ever known is dieting. Extremes, like being all the way in on a challenge and then or being on the other end of like all the way out. And I was just constantly feeling like a rag doll in my life. So I took to the internet and started sharing. I'm trying to find balance. Here's what I'm eating, just really figuring it out. So
why was food the core interest like within that realm?
Because I was obsessed with food. I thought food was like an enemy, a dragon that I had to slay. I struggled with what I now understand is an eating disorder. But because I was 5'9" and large, I've been called big boned, which like, what does that even mean? My entire life, I was constantly in the pursuit of being smaller. So I was trying to be smaller. I was trying to take up less space. I was trying to figure out like, what is the perfect exact combination of food or things, and like hyper controlling the things that I'm eating so I can live. But also I had this burden. It felt like such a responsibility to change my body. And it was something that was given to me. One of the things that I have talked about on my podcast is being at a physical when I was in junior high, and you know, you're there to just kind of like check the boxes and make sure you're good to go play sports. Right. My doctor told me I had a weight problem and he told me to stop eating rice, bread, and potatoes when I was like 12 or 13 years old.
Middle schooler.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah, which like what we know about nutrition now is like, hello, like that's actually the worst advice you could ever give someone. So I just always felt like, why am I obsessed with food? Why can I like not be motivated to eat healthy? So I had a lot of struggles with food. And so I think that was just me trying to figure it out and trying to figure out why like I had to think about this and struggle with this. So it was like a personal development journey, expression of my creativity, like trying to meet people in Denver where I was living at the time. And I won an award from Oprah for my page, Cassidy Eats, which was...
How mind blown were you when that... I mean, had you had any other recognition at that point?
No, I got in trouble at my job for posting. Like, I got in trouble. I was made fun of. Like, I'm definitely was sent around in group chats. Like, it's the part of being cringe. Like, oh, she's making videos. Like, she thinks she's an influencer. You know, like that vibe, which... I was not used to anyone like thinking what I was doing is cool.
Right.
And like, I definitely had a community at that point of women who I felt really connected to because we were sharing the same struggles and having conversations about working through the things that I was working through. And when I won the award, they told me like 2 weeks before. They reached out to me because of a blog post that I wrote that I never thought that anyone would ever see. And they were like, we want to film. So it was an arena tour. And from what I understood, they were going to... I would have
had a panic attack if they called me.
Well, no, listen. So they called me. I had just moved into my new house. I had like no furniture, nothing. They said that they wanted to film B-roll for like the in-between segments. I'm running to Target and getting candles and like printing out art and like from Etsy.
You're like, I do have a cool background. Yes.
But you can't use any of like your own art or anything. It has to be like commercial, whatever, royalty free. I was filming, so they came to my house and the producers were like, yeah, this is going to play when you come out on stage. I was like, on stage for what?
Talk about fear of visibility.
No, I was just like, what? And they're like, and then they kind of looked at each other and like, it was totally a miscommunication.
Yeah.
Like they all thought I knew. And then they said, you're winning an award. Like Oprah's going out on stage and you're going to be on stage with her and we're going to bring you into the show. And I was like, what the helly? I was like, what the helly? Because I was only giving like 2% of my energy to this.
At what point were you just on Instagram with like a blog page as well, I guess?
Yeah, but just Instagram. And the show was in 2 weeks, so I had to keep it quiet. And then it was a surprise when I came out on stage. And it was cool because it was in Denver. So there were a lot of people that were in my community that were there. And then they were like, what the hell is she doing? But it was an amazing experience. And the arena tour itself was kind of like a 8 a.m. till 3 p.m. It gave like personal development show because, you know, she came on and talked, but then she had like Common come on. And the Big Quiet, they did like a silent meditation in the arena with like 50,000 plus people. It was really cool. And after that experience, and even sitting in the audience before I went on stage, I was like, I'm going to quit my job when I make enough money that's like matching my salary. And I wasn't overwhelmed by her celebrity and like by all of that. It was overwhelming that I was being recognized for something that for the first time in my life was 1000% me. I was just like, oh. So
that must have been mind-boggling. Like I think, and I'm like, that feels like an identity dissolution moment where you're like, I can be recognized just for what's on the so cheesy. What's on the inside?
No, totally. But like so many people are like, what does Oprah smell like? What does she like? Like,
sorry, I was having like a complete like identity breakthrough moment, and Oprah was there. Like, what do you mean?
No. So what's even crazier is it was March 7th, 2020. So literally, Oprah was the last person I held hands with for years, besides my husband.
It's kind of a huge flex.
No, literally. At that time, I was like, maybe Oprah could give me COVID, like because we didn't know.
I got COVID from Oprah. That would be a great T-shirt. There you go.
Literally. That was March, and then we literally entered lockdown, and so I had space and time to be like, the fuck? But I just kept at it with my job. I was so burnt out. I was like truly mentally unwell, experiencing true physiological burnout. And by June, I decided that I needed to quit my job, and I had zero backup plan, which is so unlike my like eldest daughter, perfectionist, controlling personality. I never would have quit a job unless I had another job lined up. But I just was like, I can't anymore. So I quit in June and I had no idea what was next. And then a couple of weeks later, her team called me back and they said, hey, girl, we have an idea.
This is jump and the net will appear, right?
Literally. That one experience was enough proof that I needed to just like sell my house and move to California. It's shown me that like, if you think you know, if you think you can control what's ahead because of what you can see, you are limiting yourself for like what is truly actually possible. So I've since then remained completely open because they not only said we have an idea, they said we want to build a platform or we are building a platform. We want you to be one of the faces of it. And we want to change the way that women are experiencing wellness and habits and self-care because Weight Watchers, as we all know, has been harmful in the past, but they had changed the name to WW, and like Oprah was behind this movement of like really, and Mindy Grossman, who was the CEO at the time, wellness, like wellness that works, and really focusing on the 4 pillars of wellness, which are food, mindset, sleep, and movement. And so I was like the food person, and there were 9 coaches, and we built this amazing platform, which I kind of explained to people as like a Peloton in a way. I had a live every week. I had producers, I would pitch my show ideas, and we had teams. So I was speaking to like 50,000 people a week, and it was infused with behavior science. So it was like really helpful content that was targeted.
Did that feel scary at the time, or it felt easy?
No, I was like, oh, I am going to change. Like, I'm going to like get inside this ship and like change the direction of the ship and like help women actually love themselves versus like all this diet culture crap. Like really be a part of changing the narrative. It was amazing, but it was so fast and everything was happening all at once, and we were kind of building the ship while we were flying it, and there were a lot of technical limitations based on like the Weight Watchers app, but I had a food producer that I got to develop over 50 recipes with, and I got to pitch content. I got to be in a national campaign for Chobani. Like I got so many amazing opportunities, but I got to the point about 1.5 years in when I realized that the vision for what it was and the execution was not the same. the way I understood it at the time was like, damn, like I didn't think I would have to fight so hard on the inside to change this message. Because I was like, no, we're not doing that. We're not saying that. We're not talking about scale anxiety. Like I thought we wanted to change, and like I can't not say anything.
Right.
Especially too because this
Which
is my
I think
face
is a great thing.
and name. But I also feel like I was kind of difficult because I was so like, no, I'm not. I don't know that they necessarily thought that, but I ended up getting laid off. We all did. So a new CEO came in and she deleted we removed the program, and they were focusing on in-person experiences because they didn't want to focus on content anymore, and they deleted our platform. So it was like 2 years of coaching content. I worked with the behavioral psychologists and like had so much intention, and I felt the type of way about that because
you shared this with me before, and it's still mind-boggling to me, just as someone who's been in the program side of this, to delete out that much content, just completely wipe it is like, what do you mean?
No, I know. It's like literally the best content they've ever had because it's built with creators, producers of the Oprah show, and the science team. And I, at that point, was like, all right, what am I doing? Like, I need to scale my knowledge because I know so much, and I was kind of using a shout from the mountaintops approach because I was so passionate about health and wellness. But I'm like, damn, I'm gonna burn out if I keep trying to yell at everybody that this is the way. Like, healthy is possible. Wellness is actually so much easier if you let it be. So I got to work and I started creating one of my first courses, and I became obsessed because if you can scale your knowledge, you can help unlimited amounts of people. If you can document it, you can design a learning experience, which I had from being the head of learning and development. So I understand how to break down complex topics and into digestible nuggets. I kind of had done that, of course, at Weight Watchers, but I had to teach myself like blockchain and coding languages as they were coming out when I was making trainings. So I've gotten really good at like, okay, what is the thing we're teaching? And then how can we like digest it? This is my Virgo speaking.
Such an incredible skill, by the way. Just like the fact that not only are you such a great teacher, but that you really understand the nuances of how to develop a program to put out is it's amazing.
It's something I didn't realize until not that long ago of like, oh, I really have this gift. Because like everyone's rushing to create courses. And,
yes.
you know, you can make passive income off of your courses. And then I hear from a lot of people, well, I put everything into a course and then like 10% completion rate. Yeah, it's because you're not a learning designer. You don't know how to create transformation.
Or I've bought courses where it's like within 30 seconds, I'm like, what am I watching? What? Yeah. There's no content, like there's nothing tactical here. You're like talking about how you're gonna teach me something without like getting to the actual content.
Well, what's so funny is I always felt like I was a failure because I never became a teacher. I was like, I can't get a job. Like I can't even get an interview. And I was like desperado when I moved to Denver. I'm emailing principals like, what does it take to get my foot in the door? And I just, I mean, I clearly was being rejected to be totally redirect. So I created my first course, and at that time, when I got laid off, we were actually, my husband and I, on one income because a few months before that, we emptied our savings account for him to go back to school. So he was working in oil and gas. We emptied our savings for him to go to school in art direction. Then we had no income, and he was in school, couldn't get a job. So from 2022 to 2023 was like, hold the vision, trust the process. Because when he went to school, it was, are you guys willing to move to New York or LA? That's where advertising's happening. Yeah. And we were. And we didn't know what was going to happen. And of course, like we're coming out of COVID. It's like 2022, 2023. And we came to LA to visit because I had never been here. And so we booked the cheapest flight, of course, the Sunrise, right? Like the cheap Southwest, like the cheapest possible weekend we could do to just like see if we wanted to live here.
Yeah.
And we came here, and I'm not even kidding you, Margaret. Like Kai and I couldn't even talk to each other because it was so like, the first time we got on the beach, it was so powerful. But what I understand now is that it's almost like like me now, future me was like, girl, you're home. Like, and
I relate to this so much in my experience of LA.
Oh
LA has a weird magic to it. Like,
I'm forever changed.
Yeah, I'm like, I get the La La Land thing. There's like so many pieces of being here where I'm just like, am I in reality? Like, what time is moving differently? Everything feels surreal. Like, I get why it's La La Land. I don't even know. I feel like I'm in spa world. Like, I don't know what's happening.
No, I fully agree. And especially Venice, too.
Truly.
And we just were like, yeah, that's where we're going. That's what we're doing. And so we returned to Denver and just continued to like, I mean, I was at that point so burnt out from that whole D360 experience that I just didn't want to be on camera.
Yeah.
So I was continuing my podcast episodes because I didn't have to be on camera. I didn't like, I could just kind of record it in my closet and like really share what I was thinking. But I also was working for some families. I was just kind of like private chefing. Like I just wanted to like do something that wasn't Cassidy Eats and like online for a second. And he graduated school. He got a remote job. So we were like, yeah, we still want to go. So we started the wheels to sell our house. And then we moved here in May of 2023. And my husband got a job at an ad agency. And I was actually advising a startup at the time, because I am this person who's like, as you know, and we'll probably get into, I do all these different things. And I'm just like, just because I can doesn't mean I should. It's kind of the realization that I've gotten to in the last couple of years.
So real. I think that's the entrepreneur mindset, because like so many of us are just, we go so hard and we've trained in so many different things that we're like, we can do it better, we can do it ourselves.
No, literally. Literally. So the day that I moved to California, pretty much that week, the startup founder that I was working for called me and she's like, listen, I can't pay you anymore until I get money. And so really strange as well, because I had just moved to California, the most like expensive place in the US. I was like, okay, this is my sign to go all in on my business, my coaching business.
Yeah.
So that's when I went all in on building more of my women's health programs, power over PCOS, and like really figuring out how to create programs that can truly transform women's lives. And so that was 2023, 2024. And I've just been like riding the waves of life. But since I burnt out so badly, pretty much twice, coming here, I knew that I wanted to build a life. I knew that I needed to find friends and community. And so I didn't have all of my energy anymore to be like, okay, I'm going to build the thing. Kind of like the mindset that you have when you're in a startup mode.
Yes.
I wasn't going to do the whole 7 days a week thing anymore, because physiologically I just couldn't. But also I knew that like I live in California. Like I want to be able to go to the beach if I'm in the mood to go to the beach. I want that flexibility. And this is also, we didn't mention this, like the best place for manifestation, because everything is possible. Like it is like, you will see a car you've never seen before. And I don't even give a shit about cars, but I'm like, oh, damn, that's for me. Like I'm meant to see that. I say that's for me all the time when I think I see things like around Venice.
You have a lot of great phrases.
I'm like, I'm just open.
Yeah.
I'm open to how good it can get. And I've just been producing my podcast. I ended up going into partnership with some of my health programs with a dietitian to just like really, I'm kind of the lifestyle coaching mindset self-care person, and she's helping people with like what is actually on their plate. It's been beautiful. It's been amazing. And when you go out on your own, I don't know if you've had this experience, but in mine, when I just like was so willing to just like quit my job and just like, I'm just gonna build what I see or what I wish existed. It's such a journey to be a visionary like that, because you're constantly working towards something, but it's almost like inevitable that you burn yourself out towards building it, because you have this ache of like, it's not real yet. It's not here yet. It's not how I want it to be. So all this to say, moving to California, it's like, well, I want to build the business and I want to enjoy this life that I'm giving myself for like the first time. So I really started treating my energy, I think, is probably, if I had to pinpoint like what really changed, I treated my energy like my most valuable asset. And I'm like, okay.
I'm sure you've heard the Taylor Swift quote that's now circulating everywhere.
Oh, from the New Heights podcast?
Yeah.
No,
she's
literally.
Like, your energy is expensive. And I'm like, yeah,
and
correct.
And not everyone has the capital for you to care, like
Right.
what they think. Yeah, totally. I heard her say that. Agree. Yeah. And like over time, I've gone from this like stressed out, hypervigilant, overworked millennial who is like giving generous advice to everyone else. Like I think everybody can agree, you know, the millennial managers are like, take time off, but then like they burn the fuck out. I was the wellness and engagement person and I burnt out.
I see that so often in wellness companies, and having worked in wellness companies where a lot of those people are burnt out because you're naturally a caregiver.
Yeah.
That like you're giving care to all the whatever it is, members or employees or whatever, and then like the people are
I neglected
unwell.
myself.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to include myself in the equation. But once I did, I feel like everything has just been like 10x. I've quantum leaped into like new realities. Like I feel like every freaking month over the last year and a half. And again, because I was shown that if you are willing to jump when there is no net, and the net appears, like the net is always so much better than you can even imagine.
Yeah.
Just really focusing on taking amazing care of myself, which in turn increased my capacity. I'm able to do more in less time, have the life, be the person who hosts dinner parties and makes a cake for my friend's birthday, but also is a badass, like savvy entrepreneur. I've really broken through that identity that a lot of entrepreneurs take on.
It's something I admire about you a lot.
Thank you. Because
which we'll get into.
It's taken a lot of work.
Yeah.
And I truly am at this point now where I'm like, oh, I'm meant to show people what's possible and I'm meant to teach them how. In January of 2025, I decided that my word of the year, because I always pick a word of the year,
same,
is going to be shine. And then I got invited to the Lighthouse to be a founding member in February.
Shining, light, glow.
I'm just like in awe at the things that unfold in front of me every single day.
Amazing. Okay, so you've started stepping into a little bit of business coaching as well.
Yes.
So what I want to dive in together is a little bit of this combination of talking through both the nourishment side of things, because I have some food stuff I'm curious to get your take on, as well as the business side of things. But I particularly want to start with, because this is what I'm really curious about right now, this idea of expansion versus contraction periods. So when I look at you, it's so obvious to me that you're in a period of expansion. I mean, just looking at even your Instagram stories, the energy comes across when I'm talking to you. Everything is just like, I'm quantum leaping, shit's happening. Like, oh my God, I mentioned this person, they appear, this thing, like whatever. And it's amazing to be in your orbit to just see that. Because I feel like for me, I was in a really large period of that earlier this year where it felt very similar, where it was like, things are just freaking going into place. I'm the happiest I've ever been. I'm the most myself I've ever felt. And then now I feel like through a few various personal things, whether that was like a heartbreak or some like a family stuff, whatever, like it shifted. And now I'm in this moment of contraction and I'm in tension with it. And as much as I'm seeing you and meeting you in this period of expansion, there are so many pieces of your story where you are actually, you're trying to get this teaching job and it's not happening and you don't know. And now you're in this other job, but you're burning out in it. And so you've definitely had a lot of periods where maybe it was a lot of uncertainty. And I'm kind of curious your take on just that idea of expansion versus contraction, and the way that I've been thinking about it. And I had a long conversation with a friend yesterday on this, was this idea of like, yes, the expansion periods feel obviously so much more comfortable to be in, right? You're like happy, joyful. You're like, anything's fucking possible. And the contraction periods are naturally tense. Like you want them to be done. You're like, is this ever going to end? I feel creative apathy is the word I keep using. Like it's like my usual, I used to wake up with like 5 real ideas in my head and it would be like, which one do I actually want to bring to fruition? But I just had ideas coming in right and left, and I feel just apathetic toward my work right now. And that's a very weird, as a creative, way to feel, where there's like a lack of inspiration. And then trying to be okay with like, okay, well, there's been so much expansion that maybe there has to be a moment of pause and rest in order to integrate and go forward, even though I am always at odds, just because I'm such a proactive, like, let me go person, that I want to like punch through it, but I can't. I'm just like, blah is basically kind of the phrase I want to use. And I imagine most people go through that at various points, because we can't always be. I look at Taylor Swift and it feels like she at all times is just like a creative volcano. And I'm like, does she chill ever? Like,
well, she's an alchemist. Like and I see myself as an alchemist too, because everything that you're seeing now is the result of me being able to take my experience and turn it into something that can help other people. But it's interesting to me that you use the word like contract and like expansion, because I see it as contrast.
Say more on that.
So like, I actually think I've done some podcast episodes on this during these times. So it would be like around 2022 going into 2023, where I was like, what the fuck is going to happen? And it was also a long time. I have this friend named Kayla who is an endurance athlete, and she's like the face of Lululemon. And when we got laid off, she had all these opportunities come her way, and she was launching this shoe campaign and like doing all these things. And every time we would catch up and I would talk to her, it would be like, here's all the things I've done. I've been to Paris and da-da-da-da. And then I was just like, girl, I'm still holding the vision. Like I'm still, Yeah. I don't see it as restriction because, well, first of all, if you have the expectation that you're constantly growing, when are you going to stop and enjoy it?
That is my expectation.
Yeah. But I would say during the times when I like did not know what was going to happen next and was really struggling, and like, I'm not even kidding you, there were times when I would have like $50 that I'm taking to Trader Joe's to like feed Kai and I for the week, because we were so like low on money and like what is going to happen. I think the thing that's important in restriction or restriction, what did you say?
Contrast or contract?
Contract, yeah. That's the word. Like in those times when you're like in the in-between, there's so much power in the in-between because you don't have all the things happening, but what you should be doing is getting so fucking clear on what you want and how you want to feel in your life and grounding into that. So I had already gotten into like meditation and some of these tools a few years prior to this, but they really became useful to me in this time because I had no idea that I was truly going to move to California and like have the life that I have. But when I was in this period and like we kind of are in these like lockdown periods and it's like winter and everybody's kind of shutting down because everyone's getting COVID again. And so I was really having a lot of time in my big empty 4-bedroom house because I never got any furniture. And I just meditated every day. Like all I knew is I'm going to meditate when I wake up in the morning for 20 minutes. And I can't explain it to you, but I heard the ocean. Like I always heard the ocean in my meditations. And at the time, if you would have told me that I'd be living 3 blocks from the beach, like I'd be like, no fucking way. But like it happened. And so I can't help but think that some of the clues and the things that are kind of like giving you those pings, even if they're rare in a period of like not everything is happening, that those are like the clues of like what's gonna come next. But I also am willing to bet that there's so much more magic that's happening right now that you're not able to see because your expectation is that it's like gotta be these like insane things. And truly there is so much magic. I mean, we've just met recently. Like, you know what I mean? And like you're being around these people and you're in the orbit of people who inspire you. My advice is to ground yourself every single day and get as still as possible so that you can receive clarity on like where you really want to go. Because as we've talked, you have had opportunities come your way and you're like, should I do this? Should I go for this? Should I not? The only way you're going to know that is if you get still enough to actually hear your own intuition and inner voice come through and be like, that's a hell yes or that's a hell no. And then like truly just like every day.
This is so interesting. Yeah, I'm like unlocking stuff as you're saying. So one of the things I've been trying to focus on is this idea of, have you heard the phrase like glimmers before? Like as the opposite of triggers?
Yeah.
Yeah. So glimmers, and I'm broadening that idea to also include moments of synchronicity, to believe that there's magic happening even when you're in sort of a lower blah period, if we want to call it. And trying to clock those. So like that's been my new morning journaling practice because I wake up and journal first thing every morning. I'm trying to do, which I haven't done in like a decade, when I was trying to get out of a depression in like, I don't even know when, right after college, like a gratitude list. And so in this case, it's a glimmer list. So like just a few moments that felt like, even if it's so small, a small synchronicity or something that lit me up a little bit, because I feel like right now I just feel a little low, and I'll see moments where I like start to lift and I'm like, oh, that's me, this is like my normal, and then it's like, now I feel kind of schmeh again. And I think it's interesting like to think about, again, all of this has been a learning, it's so much growth, and one of these is this idea of, and when we talk about these hustle tech entrepreneurs, they blow my mind, because I'm like, do you guys, I mean, I guess the answer is no, have a personal life, because navigating personal life things while also being an entrepreneur, I think, is a really interesting thing, because I'm someone, so I have CPTSD, which means like when certain things happen, I'm like taken out for like 3 to 4 days. Like I go from like 150% over functioning to like negative 20%, and I'm just like down bad for a few days. So for me, like a heartbreak is like, I'm fucking out. So that was why I got really disconnected from my intuition, is I'm like, you know, my intuition led me to this person. It didn't work out. I thought I was doing all this business stuff. Now I'm confused. Was any of this the right thing? Whatever. And so then I get completely into a period of like lack of self-trust. And so rebuilding that has been the current journey, which is interesting because I have such a fucking solid foundation of self-trust. And yet even that can still get shaken up. And so navigating that while also trying to build a business, I think, is an interesting shenanigan.
But like I was saying, like to be an entrepreneur, to be a founder or whatever, like you kind of surrender this identity that like everything has to be hard or you have to sacrifice. Like how many times have I heard, I don't have time for dating right now. I don't have time to build community. I don't have time. You make time for the things that you value. And if you are a person who wants to value community, who wants to value flexibility and freedom in your days, then you have to like actually be that person. Because when I quit my job, and like, I remember my first job of realizing I had 10 vacation days, and I was like, well, wait a second. I just imagined having so much more flexibility. And once it was up to me and I started working for myself, I carried over all the same habits and beliefs about how work should be done, especially from that startup world. And I was like, well, what the hell am I doing? Like, I don't want to be somebody who works on Fridays. So I don't.
How do you not have a part of you that feels like, oh, I want to be working today, or there's something I can do, and you hold yourself to a boundary of saying I'm not going to? Or do you feel like you naturally just flow and say like, I'm offline today?
Oh, I completely disconnect at least once a week.
Yeah.
I have to.
That's dope.
So actually, I was just talking to someone about this last night, because I have a lot of really big ideas after some things that have happened this week. And I'm like, I want to act on this and I want to act on this. And to be that kind of personality too is like acting on everything. And I think slowing down, learning to meditate, being in a time when I had no money and no clarity, and also I just walked away from this career that I spent the last 7 years building, to truly find the beauty in, like, I'm so grateful for this meal. I'm so grateful for this sunshine, Colorado sunshine, and like truly being able to find the magic in those little things, because that's all I really had. I still find the magic in those things. Like I'm getting emotional thinking about like just walking around. Like,
I feel like I see like sparkles coming off your aura right now.
No, dude, like I am so grateful. Like I literally cry about it all the time because I'm just like, even the interactions and just like being at the lighthouse, meeting people like you. And then, okay, so going back to, I was talking to someone last night about like wanting to act on these ideas. And I think it's really important to have people that you trust, that you can bounce ideas off of, because if you're just like operating in this silo of like, I'm going to build these things independently and like voyage on, like that also sucks too. I value community, but I never was giving myself the chance to actually enjoy community because I thought, well, I have to sacrifice this while I build the thing. But if building the thing means sacrificing community, then like I actually don't want to do it like that. So how do I want to do it? And last night, so I'm talking to this person and telling them all these ideas, and they're like, well, like, damn, are you just like spinning? And I said, but what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to shut my laptop until next week, and I'm going to completely disconnect from all these ideas that I have, and I'm going to just let them simmer this weekend, like while I'm watching TV or just hanging at the beach, and like
forced shower thoughts.
Literally, because what happens when you're in the shower? You're like, oh my God, I have an amazing idea. Or like when I used to be a waitress, you know, you would always remember like, oh fuck, I didn't give that table ranch. Like those things that can pop back up in those spaces are because you have created space for them. So even if you're only having those thoughts in the shower, that's probably the only time that your mind isn't being consumed by podcasts and news and people and text messages and notifications and like all this shit. You truly have to block all that out and find a way to give yourself shower thoughts like as often as possible.
Okay, I'm going to shift us a little bit because I'm curious about your creator journey and developing your creator voice, because this is something I'm very early on in. I would say really started basically in January. I mean, I've done social for brands for 10 plus years, and it's always easy for me to go into someone else's brand. I can do it in my sleep, figure out their voice, figure out the whole nine, figure out how to communicate it, the aesthetic, the photography, the video, whatever. Figuring out how to do it for yourself, it's like such a block. So I've been working through that for like 7 months now.
Okay.
Both from the perspective of like podcasting and figuring out what is the podcast voice even, and what's the elevator pitch on the podcast, to the reels that I make, to just how I want to show up or what feels authentic to me, and not trying to like mimic other people and all that. So I'm curious your relationship, or how you feel like you've built your voice, if that's just something that naturally comes with time, or if you have any, I guess, advice for someone who is in process on that.
I would say now maybe it appears that I have such clarity like on my voice and things like that, but like
what is clarity?
but also I was putting in reps when I was in my basement, like in between, and I had no idea, like I'm not getting paid for this. Like I was just doing it because I felt like I had to. And yeah, I just like the whole 10,000 hours thing. Like the reason you're seeing what you're seeing now is because I've put in the hours, I've put in the reps.
Which I think it's worth calling out that you have how many episodes now? 165, 66?
Yeah, just under that, yeah.
That you have fully self-produced, self-edited, and like made it entirely your own, which is so awesome.
You know, it's funny. I actually just got a message from somebody the other day. She said that she was listening to my newest episode in her car and answered a call, and then when she hung up, it like went back to the very first episode, and she's like, I could notice a huge difference in your voice and like confidence and, you know, just whatever. And I did not go back and listen to that. But
the cringe moments. No, like I don't want to hear that.
And I think that's kind of the point. Like, yeah, I am not afraid to be cringe, because when I was cringe, I ended up on stage with Oprah.
Let's go.
Like, and to be cringe is to truly be free. And so if you're feeling like you're judging yourself or feeling like I don't know, embarrass yourself. Go do something like so embarrassing or like cringe.
You know what's okay? I heard this. I think you'll vibe with this. I heard this recently. Did you see Everything Everywhere All at Once?
Yes.
Okay.
It's been a while, but yeah.
Yeah. So obviously that has a lot of like multiverse and quantum leaping kind of concepts woven into it. And so there was this reel that a friend sent to me that was like, in that movie, the way that they move between worlds and have these quantum leap moments is to do something like so weird and out of character. Like I think they like eat a chapstick at some point or whatever. And they were like, this is actually how it works in the real world too, is if you do something that like completely pattern breaks your reality, that's out of character, that's like weird, it sort of creates this gap where like magic can happen.
Yes.
And I've been thinking about this so much because I feel like part of my apathy is that I'm in a routine and I'm not breaking that routine because I enjoy the routine and I'm getting a lot out of it, but I know that I always get inspired and get reinvigorated by something that's different.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to find small moments of that, which is as simple as I dragged myself to like the Venice Backgammon Club last week and this week by myself, just to go to something new, be around a new group of people and just see like what happens here.
That's like so your personality. You know, the other thing I actually wanted to say is, I'm in a season of expansion right now. You said that you can feel that from me, but the reason that I'm in a season of expansion is because I decided that I am. So like,
you think it's a decision?
Yes.
Okay.
You have to be so conscious of the story that you're telling yourself. And a lot of the work that I do with the people that I work with is helping them become aware of the patterns that the way that they think, the way that they live, and helping them realize that like, actually that isn't even you. That's the conditioning. That's how you were brought up. That's society. It's like a combination of so many different things.
I'm having thoughts right. Okay. Can I interrupt?
Yes.
Okay. So I think one of the things that is in this season of life for me, so I feel like what happened is I had these major upgrades for myself on my voice, on how I was thinking about my career, in my confidence, whatever. And I think the area of my life that really is the most, I wanted to compare this to like a computer system, like it's like functioning on like a 95 Mac, is my dating life and like my approach to love. And really what I mean by that underneath that is the stories that are associated with that for me. That for me is a core wound. There was a lot of pressure for me that the only version of success that existed was for me to get married. Yeah. And that I didn't need to work. I just needed to, whatever, find a man. That was a lot of my childhood conditioning. And so for me, when something doesn't work out, it explodes like 800 stories that just say, none of this was for anything. I'm not successful. I'm a failure, blah, 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 blah. Like activates all the worst stories. And so then all of that is like confetti up in my body in the air. And I'm like, and so I think part of what's happening right now, which I'm realizing as we're talking through this, is upgrading that system and figuring out, oh, that's what's happening. And this is the first time I can look at it and see it. And like, how can I change that story? Because that I think is the story that's holding me back the most from like being fully in my power, magnetism, whatever you want to call it.
Yes. Well, you kind of think like, I can't change. I've always been this way.
Right. It feels so deeply like that's probably one of the most core stories in my DNA.
Well, I'm actually noticing a little bit of a parallel between the like, I can't find my brand voice, and then also probably like the dating thing. Because it sounds to me like you're trying to figure out like the perfect combination or like have everything be positioned this way. But like the truth is you just need to go. Yeah. Like you just need to go, but you also need to get super clear on like, okay, a partner, for example, like how do I want to feel in the relationship that I end up in? And how do I want to feel day to day? And how do I want this person to take care of me? Am I even in a place where I can receive that? Because like, for example, I got invited to join the Lighthouse, and that's all I've ever wanted is to have like this kind of production experience. And then I put it off for 4 months. And then, like I said, I decided I'm in a season of expansion, but it took a lot of work to get there. I think the thing about dating and the thing about even just like figuring out your brand voice is becoming the version of yourself that attracts the opportunities you want, whether it be a partner or like work stuff. And I think we get so caught up in like, well, I want this and I want this and I want this, but we don't actually see ourselves as the version who can actually receive that. So how can you ground yourself?
It's safer to keep it like it's over there. It's over the mountain.
Yeah, but like a lot of people say they want things, but then they actually aren't truly ready to receive them. And like an example of this is something that I used to do. If somebody would like compliment me, like, oh my God, your hair is so beautiful, I'd be like, oh God, like,
your hair is so beautiful.
Well, thank you. But
I've said this to you already.
But like, have you, just pay attention to like how you receive compliments. Like, do you actually receive it? Or are you like, oh gosh, like this is old. I got it for $5, like, or whatever. You know what I mean? And if you're able to actually be like, thank you. Like, I really appreciate that you're able to receive all the things that are meant for you because you're that version of yourself that you actually truly see yourself as, but you feel so far away from. And so many times it's just a freaking decision. It's a decision, and it's also this like nurturing of this new reality. And I have this example in my coaching practice. And also it's so funny that you said like Windows 95, because I literally use that example. Your mindset. Your mindset is like the software that's running the computer that is your brain. And your mindset is the thing that's like relaying life back to you. So for example, if you and I witnessed a car accident on the corner, there's a pretty big chance that we would experience it differently, and then we would relay it. So like, do you go home and say, oh my God, I witnessed this horrible car accident, it was terrible, or like whatever, wherever you go with it? Or is it like, I witnessed this terrible car accident, but I saw all the people that were helping? So it's like, what do you see?
Yeah.
When you see what you see, like, and how do you allow yourself to like tell yourself the story? So I use that a lot. But the other thing that I use in terms of allowing yourself to be brand new is neuroplasticity.
I want to just repeat that phrase, allowing yourself to be brand new. Love that.
Yeah. Like, honestly, the past is truly none of your business. And like,
That's an incredible quote.
but
the
like,
past is none of my business.
like, you're literally like talking about this guy you dated and this and that, and you were traumatized. Like, yeah, it fucking sucks. But like, actually, if you just use that as like, okay, well, that's where I know I don't want to go in the future.
Yeah.
And like, how can that inform the way that I move today and moving forward? And what do I want to create with where I've been? Like, it's just allowing yourself to be new, allowing yourself to turn your focus to the future. But the other thing I was going to say in terms of like neuroplasticity is like, you have to allow yourself to be new and just keep like nurturing that and practicing being new until that becomes the new way of being. And the way that I can explain this through neuroplasticity habits, because this is literally just like a habit of becoming who you want to be. I used to keep my Q-tips under the sink in my bathroom. Okay. And you know, you're at Home Goods, you see that glass apothecary, you're like, yes, I'm going to redesign the bathroom and put the Q-tips, you know, vibes, cotton swabs. We all do. All the girls have been there. You guys all know this. But after I move the Q-tips to the back of the toilet, right, what do I do when I need a Q-tip? I'm like opening the bottom cabinet every time because they've been down there for so long.
Right.
When I realize that they're not under the sink and they're on the back of the toilet, I open the thing and I'm like, oh, duh. And then I'm like, they're right there. I don't be like, you idiot, you fool. But when you're trying to create a new habit around movement, trying to be the active person that you want to really see yourself as, or the creative person who is like in an expansive period, you have to just let yourself be that person and nurture that, because when we forget that we moved the Q-tips, or like you've moved the garbage can to the other side of your apartment because it makes more sense over there. But like for the first couple of weeks, months, you're like going to where the garbage used to be. You're like going to where the Q-tips used to be. You have to have so much compassion for the in-between so that you can cement the new reality, right? You're like,
I love this.
One foot in the past. Yeah, I'm like also trying to know that I'm trying to become like this person. This is still here, but all I got to do is just practice being this new person until I am this person.
Yeah.
And then it's...
The Q-tip metaphor is beautiful. I love that. Okay, so I want to move us into nourishment and food. I think this is actually, I suspect it's interesting because I know you're just moving into business coaching, and we sort of talked about this idea independent of the podcast that it's all kind of the same thing, which is like nourishing women to be their full whole selves and like live these big lives. So I think what I'm about to bring up, you're going to be like, this is all the same thing. I do everything right.
Yeah.
So food.
Yeah.
I have actually never gotten to hash this out with someone, so I think this should be interesting. And this is like totally, I'm a leptin. This is a leptin trait. We have food stuff. Like there was a lot of food control in my family about like who's sitting where at dinner and having like sit down family dinners. I come from a waspy family. This is part of the 9. Like, so one of my big problems is, so I had food issues for many years just around brain fog, and I couldn't figure out what it was because I initially thought maybe it's gluten, but then I was not eating gluten and replacing it with other things and having the exact same issue. So I finally, about a year and a half ago, went to like a functional doctor and got like a deep workup on like everything, allergies, everything across the board, and got back all this information about, yes, it is gluten, but it's also eggs. So the reason that I was still having issues was I was replacing the gluten with like, oh, instead of toast for breakfast, I'll have eggs, which was also an allergy.
Yeah.
And the gluten thing is an intolerance versus celiacs. So I've had this really struggled relationship, and anyone who is friends with me will tell you this and laugh about it, where like I'll constantly be like, I'm gluten intolerant, but then you put pizza in front of me and I will eat it. I'm like, I like can't, it's like a willpower thing, where honestly having a gluten allergy is a pain in the ass because it's in everything. And often when you go to events, that's like the go-to setup is like sandwiches, pizza, because it's very easy to do that for mass amounts of people, whatever. Or even last night I was at an event and there was only like bar kitchen food and the only options were like sandwiches or burgers. So I ended up getting like a quesadilla, which again, flour tortilla. And I feel like I struggle a lot with basically making what I mentally know is the best choice for myself in terms of nourishing my body, because I know, so for instance, today, knowing that I was going to podcast, I was able to like hold myself and be like, I'm not going to eat anything gluten this morning because I know I'm going to have brain fog when we're talking, and that's not what I want. But if I'm like just kind of in my day to day, or I don't have any major meeting, I'll eat it and then I'll be out of it for the afternoon, and it's never fucking worth it. Yeah. I'm so good at anything as it relates to like what I want to call mental fitness. So like going to therapy, meditating, taking care of myself from a psychological standpoint. But then for some reason with food, I like really always run into sort of like a gridlock on it.
Well, it's so interesting because you're working so hard on your mental health when your mental health is actually driven by what you eat.
Which, like,
I know.
But I feel like I don't even let myself know the extent of it, because then I have to, like, deal with changing my habits.
Yes. And I also think that it's probably likely that you don't have enough of an understanding of how food works as fuel in the body, because if you truly did, you would be like, oh, I'm done. I'm doing that, because I now know and believe that if you want to make a true impact in your life, if you want to like do the big things, make the big moves, and feel like you are really attacking life, you cannot do that if you are like constantly reacting to your poor self-care. And like that's kind of siphoning your energy in a way. And I started thinking of food as fuel when I understood like how it's actually used as fuel in the body. Very quickly, the way that I understand it, and also selfishly, the best decision I've ever made business-wise is to go into business with a dietitian, because I can then see her working with our clients, and it's just reinforcing these things that like, yes, we all know, but like, why can't we make ourselves do it? But when you think about like how our bodies use food, so like for example, if you eat a croissant, like put gluten on the side for a second, but like if you eat just a croissant, number one, our brain and body's number one source of fuel is carbs. You need at minimum, so if you just like lay in your bed all day, you need 130 grams of carbs to like fuel your body. So going back to the whole dieting thing and like not eating carbs and like all that, and like my doctor telling me not to, like that was the worst metabolic women's hormone health recommendation that's ever been made. And like, if you tell me you don't eat carbs, I'm like, you're a fool and you must not care about being creative. And like, but you eat a croissant, and usually what happens is, you know, you have a big spike where your body receives it, and like basically your pancreas has these little capturers that like go into your bloodstream, and they take the fuel and they turn it into fuel. Now, if you paired that croissant with protein, with fiber and fat, basically what happens is those things act as like a little like extended release tablet, like a mesh around the croissant. So when the insulin captures go into your bloodstream, it's like a slow release. So it's sustained fuel versus just like, we're going to burn this gas in like 2 seconds. So I understand that now. And I understand that the less spikes you have, the more clear you are, the better decision making you have, like all these things. Because if you're starved or like not eating enough, your prefrontal cortex like literally shuts down, and that's like everything you need to be a multi-hyphenate and like to be a creative and to be this like expansive person. You need to be nourished. So for example, you said you like go to these events and like they don't have things that like meet what you can eat. Know that. Eat before. And like, don't be so attached to like, oh, I'm not eating with everybody else, and like they're having the burger and like they're having so fun and they're thinking about the things that, or they're not thinking about what I have to think about because I can't have gluten, and like it becomes that whole thing. If you truly understand that, it's like, no, I'm going to actually make sure that I have a nice solid protein, 20 grams, 30 grams with a nice fiber salad, whatever, before I go. So when I get there, I'm not ravenous, and also like, fuck, if they don't have anything that works for me. So really using it as fuel, like almost like food for function in a way, but also food for nourishment is important, because if you are not getting your needs met from the food that you're eating because you're just kind of like nitpicking and like not truly having that sustained energy because you're constantly recovering from all these like spikes and crashes.
My family's big on the binge eating. Like if there's any and I come from like my mom's side of the family, we are an emotional bunch, and like the reaction to emotion is binge eat immediately.
Probably because they didn't have any other coping skills. Correct. But that's the other thing. Like our emotions and our habits can become intertwined in a way that is not helpful to who we want to be if we don't have other things meeting our needs. And what meets our needs? Community, connection, having people who truly see us, like all these things. So that's like so important for your health too. And it's just a balance, right? The root word balance, like the root of balance, means to dance. It never means like I'm holding all the plates perfectly and I'm just like standing just this way. It means I know how to dance in between. So like there is going to be a time that you're like, yeah, this freaking pizza, we're at a wood oven fired place, like this is the vibe, I'm with my friends, like this is what I am choosing. You have choice, but you're not giving yourself the chance to like almost like use food as fuel in like the in between, because you're just relying on like what's ever going to be there, which like you're not the type of person to rely on what's ever going to be. Like all the
Right.
jobs that are out there, like don't fit you because you're just so multi-hyphenate and your lifestyle is so custom. So like if you're going to go meet a friend for a croissant and like the whole, again, gluten-free thing is like different, but like if you're going to go meet a friend at Justa and like they have the best croissants, I'm going to get one, but I'm not going to just get a croissant and a matcha. I might have a couple of hard-boiled eggs on the way down, or like grab a protein bar or add protein to whatever I'm ordering at the coffee shop. But really going in informed to the way that I live my life has helped me make conscious decisions and follow that simple framework of like the protein, fiber, fat, and carbs. My capacity has expanded and so has my creativity because I'm not starving my brain.
Wow. You are really good at the metaphors and all these different like
thanks.
visual stories related to. I love seeing you in teacher mode. It's very cool.
Yeah, you're about to too, because you're going to be in my course where I actually teach how to use your well-being. So
This is what I want to get into next is what are your courses, and like if people want to connect with you, like, I want to hear more about what you do teach.
I thought for a very long time that my mission or like my purpose was to help women with their health and like help them with the food thing, help them with the self-care thing. Like I totally was like, this is what I'm here to do. What I've realized in the last year is that yes, but I'm also meant to help them build what they want to build as a result of nailing their self-care, of using food as fuel, of really honing in on building a lifestyle that is like, yep, this makes Margaret feel like $1 million. And when Margaret feels like $1 million, what does she have? Clarity. She has confidence. She's ready to go freaking build the thing or expand because she's decided that like, I am so nourished. I'm like overflowing. So when I moved to LA, I didn't realize like, oh, I'm actually such a savvy entrepreneur. Like I was in Denver and like kind of operating on my own and like taking this tech knowledge who like, I didn't want to be a part of that and like scaling information basically. But then also my passion for health and wellness. I created my programs, Nourish Without Numbers, which is kind of what I've been talking about this whole time. Moving to LA, every person I talk to, I'm like, oh, you should do this. Like, da-da-da. Like, I am so clear in like how I can help other people. That's because I take really good care of myself and I put my needs first.
Yeah.
But also, oh, this is how you, like, it's almost like what I'm doing now. So I have a very clear picture of the clarity. I had about 14 women over at my house for like an entrepreneur, like let's all get to know each other. It's a part of group that I'm in. And every single person that was going around talking about their business, they were so different. I was like, oh, you should do this. Oh, you should do this. You should do this. But I was sitting there also like, damn, I just created these 2 programs and I kind of want to just chill for a second. Like I don't have the capacity or interest in building out a course on how to create a course and a course on how to create a podcast and how to do this.
Yeah.
So I got still.
Yeah.
I got still, and I created my lifestyle first business design framework, which is essentially what I've done. So yeah, phase 0 is you have to have a foundation that is stable so that you can be seen at scale, so that you can expand, so that you can receive. Again, if you can't even receive a compliment, how the hell do you think you're going to receive $100,000 a month? You like it's related.
Yeah.
So like nailing your foundation, which is phase 0 of my approach, which is kind of like everything I've been working on, right? And using your wellness to fuel your creativity, but then taking your knowledge and extracting that because everyone has valuable IP to share and we're only just beginning to get into the world of intellectual property. And turning it into digital assets that can scale what you know and still help people, but preserve what makes you human. Like we want to help people, but we don't want to scream from the mountaintops and sacrifice our life and not be able to go to the beach and like do all these things. I'm teaching everyone now, like, here's exactly what I've done and how I've done it. But it's because I have so much more peace because I know how to structure my offers, my time, my knowledge. So I'm sitting there with these 14 women. I'm like, damn, like I know that I'm supposed to help these women, but like, I'm not going to do all these courses and whatever. So I created the overall, like, here is exactly step by step how you do it. And then I built it because I have learning design.
So fucking cool. I also, I mean, I already said this, but I just want to hone in on it again. Like I've been in connection with and worked for so many of the hustle culture type companies and founders. And I learned so much from them and like really got a lot from those jobs in good and bad ways. Like you learn across the board, but getting to be in connection with you and someone who actually walks the walk of what they're preaching, because there's so many people who are like wellness. And then it's like, meanwhile, they haven't slept in like 7 days.
Literally.
But you're like, yeah, I actually take care of myself and I'm running a successful business is like, Yes.
And I had the capacity to create this whole other business to help other businesses.
Yeah.
So like I'm still doing everything I was doing.
Well, to me, that's just like you're following your pings, which means you even have the space to do that, which is beautiful.
But I create the space to do that.
Yes. Decisions, clarity. Yeah.
Yeah. And like if you see yourself as this multi-hyphenate entrepreneur and like, oh my God, it would be so nice to like only work 3 days a week and like make past like whatever. There are so many ways that you can start showing up as that person now to like collapse the timeline.
Yeah.
So even if it's just like Margaret goes for a long beach walk on Friday mornings and like doesn't open her laptop until noon, then do that and like hold yourself accountable to that. And the way that I've done that, so like I mentioned I was like kind of carrying over a lot of those like toxic habits into building my own business. I saw myself as somebody who like took Fridays off. So I started making social plans on Fridays or like completely like working in my week and finding receipts that I actually was the person because I was still doing it. So like I was literally at lunch with a friend and we had gone over to Santa Monica and like gotten a matcha and like truly I was just like Friday off vibes. And I had to remind myself that like you are who you want to be. Like you are her right now. And I don't know why you're saying like, oh, I want to be this person and like allowing yourself to feel so far away from it. Again, you have to make the decision that you are it, you know?
Because I do think a lot of the setup of my life right now is like my dream setup. I'm just in a little bit of like fog almost around it where I'm like losing the clarity on like, this is already in, like, we're good. This is very cool. Yeah, awesome.
And you can always connect the dots, right? Yeah. After. Like, you always can be like, damn, like, my time in startups to going to health and wellness. And then, like,
it's
now...
so much easier looking back.
Yes, but, like, they're always connected. Yeah. Like, they're, like, always make sense after. You just can't see the dots that are coming. And then once you get past those, you're going to be like, oh, damn.
Yeah.
And, like, okay, I know you love my, like, little weird, like, manifestation tricks or whatever.
Love them.
But I have a view of all the planes waiting to land at LAX. So, like, at night, especially before I go to bed, it's, like, from my bedroom, I can see, like, it's, like, the traffic, right? So they're, like, kind of, like, dots, like, waiting to land. And I look at that and I'm like, that is all the opportunities. That is all of the people that I've yet to meet. That is all the things that I have no idea that's about to come. But all I have to do and my only job is to truly just like anchor myself into where I'm at right now so that I'm the person who can receive those things, whether it be attracting and like living big and boldly and loudly, or just being able to like be ready for when things come to my front door, which like right now they totally are
ringing the doorbell, banging the door down.
Yeah.
From what I'm seeing. Yeah. Let's go. Okay. First off, thank you. This has been so lovely. If people want to find you, if they want to work with you, if they want to get into this course that you're launching, where?
So my main like source of truth, I would say, is Cassidy Eats, which is my Instagram and TikTok pages. My link in my bio is usually like the most updated free resources, which can give you some more information about my courses. But my course, Nourish Without Numbers, is combined with like a PCOS option. So if you have PCOS and want to use food to reverse those symptoms. But I also now have Sustainable Impact Academy, which is my program that helps teach other people how to extract their knowledge and turn it into revenue streams.
Beautiful. Glorious. Love it.
Thank you.
Cool.
This is great.
Thank you for being here.
I always love being with you. Love you, girl.